Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Your hosts, Joseph and Michelle Whalen, a husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics, are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom.
Welcome to Insights into Entertainment. This is episode 96, Cruising for the Star Wars Stamp of Approval. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my crafty and loving co-host, Michelle Whalen.
And why am I so crafty?
You are crafty because we were able to put together a cardboard condo for the cats yesterday. Right. Complete with windows and balconies and everything else.
And of course, they've really only gone into the first floor so far.
So far, yeah. We've got, 4 floors, I think, on
Something
it?
like that. We'll have to, share a
5
picture.
with the useless one, that
right.
the faux floor that Maddie put on.
Maddie put a roof on
Yeah.
it. This is what happens when you get too many deliveries from Amazon and you're just like, what do we do with the boxes?
Well, and the cats love the boxes to begin with.
Oh, absolutely. And I think they were kind of upset that we were constructing something with them and not just letting them
But we've done that in the past. And
yeah,
the last
eventually.
one we had lasted, 3 months before they tore it apart?
Something like that. So we'll see how long this one goes.
But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about entertainment news. So in our Disney Detective, we'll talk about Jungle Cruise getting a makeover, another political correct move on Disney's part. Mm-hmm. We'll also talk about Disney Plus quietly pulling some movies from kids' profiles, some of which I was kind of scratching my head at, but okay, we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Then in our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy, the United States Postal Service announces one that I literally just came up with yesterday, the day before, first episode. Love the show, got to talk about it.
Of course, it was going to be one of mine, but that's all right.
See, you could have taken WandaVision now.
It's all right, I'll save that for next week.
No, I already got that for next week.
Not if I write it first.
Dibs. I called dibs.
Damn you.
Before we get into all that, would suggest folks subscribe to the podcast. This way you'll get it first thing Monday morning at 8 o'clock when they are released. You can subscribe to us for our audio versions. Look for Insights into Entertainment. For our video versions, you can get all of our podcasts listed as Insights into Things. We're available on Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, or Pandora, or really any place you can get a podcast. Mm-hmm. We would also suggest folks reach out to us and give us your feedback. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Tell us what you don't want us to talk about. We can be reached out via email at comments@insightsintothings.com. We are on Twitter at insights_things. On Facebook, we are at Insights Into Things Podcast. On Instagram, we are at Insights Into Things, or you can reach us. All those links are available on our website at www.insightsintothings.com. Shall we get started?
We shall.
All righty. I need a faster intro. That's too slow.
Yeah. Work on that.
Go for Disney Detective.
So Disney has just announced that the popular Jungle Cruise, which was an opening day ride at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland resorts, will be getting a re-theme for guests to enjoy a brand new experience called River's Journey. Now, from what we understand, that it's just the name of the journey is changing, I guess. The ride isn't going to be changing names. It will still be called the Jungle Cruise. So the brand new Walt Disney Imagineering endeavor is intended to celebrate the diversity and beauty of the world around us, and the best part for fans for the famous Jungle Cruise spiel is the Jungle Cruise skipper will now be part of the storyline. So according to the official Disney Parks blog post about the upcoming Jungle Cruise theme, they said, "At Disney Parks, we continue to look for ways to enhance classic attractions and elevate the experience to all of our guests. Today, we're excited to share that we're building on the story of the Jungle Cruise at both Disneyland Park and Disneyland Resort and Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World Resort to include a new adventure that'll stay true to the experience we know and love. More humor, wildlife, and a skipper heart, and also reflect and value the diversity of the world around us. There are no bigger fans of this attraction than our Imagineers." So one of their Imagineers, who actually was a former Jungle Cruise skipper, posted a video that's been going around, talking about it, and saying, that they're coming up with this new experience and there's a new story, and now you're going to kind of understand why you're going on this trek. It's not just, hey, let's get on a boat ride and go and see all these funny things. They're going to kind of link everything together. The scene where the rhino is, at the bottom of a pole and you have the various different people climbing up it. Now you're going to find out who those people are and why they're there. And everybody kind of has a little part, I guess, to play in the whole thing. The other thing, too, that they were talking about in the article is that they were going to kind of also go back to aspects of the original Imagineers, like Mark Davis had put into the story and kind of link things together in a better way to tell, I guess, a bigger story than what it's been. So in some respects, it's an enhancement of it, and also, again, trying to make it a little bit more politically correct, I guess, in some cases too, but they really didn't emphasize that. It was basically more to make it a bigger story and to kind of bring your skipper into, the ride as well, more than just him or her being a tour guide for it.
So does this have anything to do, or is it taking into account anything from the new Jungle Cruise movie or any themes
No,
from that?
And that's what a lot of people were thinking, because, again, they know the new Jungle Cruise movie, so they were thinking, oh, are they going to overlay things of that, into the movie? And it doesn't sound like any of that is being done. Like, there maybe, because they talked about that there were 2 boats that used to be part of the cruise that at some point in time they just stopped using those boats. So it's kind of like, oh, well, maybe these boats will be making a comeback in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know if those boats are linked with the movie at all. So, but it didn't sound like it was anything, because when they redid Pirates of the Caribbean, they added aspects from the movie, and they made it obvious that they were, adding certain characters when they kind of revamped some of the things. But here, for this revamp, it's basically we're kind of giving it a once-over and making it bigger and better. And they've done enhancements throughout the years. They do a Christmas overlay. They do the Jingle Jangle Cruise, or and then there was some other little overlay that they've done, as well. And then also they've expanded it to, now there's the restaurant that they have too. So that's kind of an expansion of the ride too. So now they're kind of going back to the ride and doing a more, doing a bigger story with it than just, the regular original, Jungle Cruise.
Anytime you're going to enhance a ride like that, should make it better, should be interesting.
And, it's always been a favorite of mine. And not only just the ride, but
what is the spiel going to be, because there are some classic lines that the skippers, will say, the backside of water. But then, every now and then there are these new puns that get added in, and that's what's always, what always makes it really more so than anything else. So it'll be interesting to see how they, enhance it a little bit more.
So do they have a launch date for the revamped ride?
No, excuse me, no dates as of yet. Obviously, with California, still being closed, they can, do the overlay. Probably, they might do there first and then, in Florida. But as of this point, I think it's also still a lot of storyboard is still, being worked on. So
cool.
So no dates as of yet.
So let's talk about what movies Disney Plus is pulling from the kids' profiles.
Yeah, so last fall, the Walt Disney Company had launched Stories Matter, which is a concerted effort by its various branches to reckon with the company's history of racial stereotypes and negative depictions. In a statement, they had said, "We can't change the past, but we acknowledge it, learn from it, and move forward together to create a tomorrow that today can only be dream of, that we can only dream of." So with the launch of the campaign came additional, they started doing content warnings on a number of Disney Plus streaming titles. So as noted by several outlets, Disney Plus actually removed titles that had that had these advisory descriptions from kids' profiles. Some of the titles included Peter Pan, The Aristocats, Lady and the Tramp, and Dumbo, The Jungle Book, and also the live-action version of Swiss Family Robinson. Now, the movies can still be found on a regular Disney Plus account, but for profiles that have actually been set up for children, there was already a rating limit. So anything that was TV 7 VF and G would be able to be seen on a child's profile. Now these other movies have kind of been pulled, from it as well. So what, obviously the reason behind it is with the Aristocats, Lady and the Tramp, and Swiss Family Robinson, they feature racist caricatures of East Asian people. Dumbo includes a sequence which a group of crows perform a song and dance in the style of the racist minstrel show. And then obviously in Peter Pan, you have the portrayal of indigenous people, and in that aspect as well. So obviously they haven't pulled the movies. They know they're classic Disney movies. They just have these warnings, saying that there might be some sensitive material if you do watch them. And then again, they have pulled them from the from children's profiles. And obviously they have seen this change again with the park, because we know Splash Mountain is getting the makeover to kind of bring out the insensitive aspect of that. And then obviously with Jungle Cruise, part of that as well, bringing out the the areas that could be seen as racist, and kind of changing it to make it more diverse for everyone.
So talk a little bit about the profile aspect of it. With Disney Plus, you obviously can have multiple people have profiles and
Right.
preferences. Is there a distinction between a child profile or a youth profile and an adult profile?
Yeah, when you set up the profile, now it's been a while, it's been probably over a year since we've set up a profile, but when you do set one up, it asks, is this an adult or is this a child? We've never set up one for a child to see, what it looks like, because also now you'll notice there's a lot more movies, that are being added. You're now starting to see a lot of movies from Fox that are being added, and the idea was, it wasn't just going to be G-rated movies. Obviously, you have all of the MCU, the majority of the MCU movies are there, and they're, in a lot of cases, PG-13. We've never tried the filter to see what it looks like. It might be interesting just to kind of set up a test one to kind of play with it to see, what comes up. So,
and this kind of goes back to an article we had talked about a few weeks ago about Disney bringing some of the selection from Hulu that was more of a mature audience intent for it, and having that ability to filter automatically. I am curious, though, do you have the ability to go in and dictate what the kids can see and can't see on the profile, or is that left entirely up to Disney at this point?
I don't know. Again, we've never played with it, so it'll be it would be interesting, like I said, to just kind of play around with it.
Yeah.
To talk about, at another time, like, hey, we played around with this, or if any of our viewers have done that, send us a note and let us know. Do you tell it that you only want Disney animated movies, or anything certain rating? I don't know how it works.
Well, I am glad to see that they're making a smart choice here, in that they're removing it from the children, but they're not removing it in general. So the parents want to sit there and educate their kids while they're doing it.
And
they're not going the route they did with Song of the South, where Song of the South just doesn't exist to Disney anymore.
Right. And, the other thing to note, too, is that, they did make sequels to Peter Pan, The Jungle Book, and Lady and the Tramp, and those are, I guess you could say, cleaner versions. So those are actually available on the kids' profiles. The kids can watch those. So it's just, it would be, it's like, you don't want to say, and here's where, your love of Star Wars and your originals, like, you don't want to go and remake it to make it more suitable, but in some instances it's a shame that some movies.
However, if I did have the power to dictate what can and can't be seen, I could at least edit out the fact that the sequels actually existed.
True. And that's the thing, is where, like, Song of the South, it's the whole movie, it's the whole premise behind it. How do you redo Song of the South in a positive, whereas a scene with, in Peter Pan with indigenous people, okay, you could probably take that part out and you would still have a whole movie. Right. Or, the Aristocats with, or any of these Asian characters, you could put an Asian character in and not have it be that stereotypical 1950s Asian American type thing. So,
well, kudos to Disney for being on top of that and giving us the option. That was all we had for our Disney Detective. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy. For over 7 years, the Second Sith Empire has been the premier community guild in the online game Star Wars: The Old Republic. With hundreds of friendly and helpful active members, a weekly schedule of nightly events, annual guild meet and greets, and an active community both on the web and on Discord. The Second Sith Empire is more than your typical gaming group. We're family. Join us on the Starforge server for nightly events such as operations, flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com.
Pew, 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 pew.
That one's too long, too. Go for
Thanks for your critiques.
Go for Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy.
So your mail will soon feature characters from a galaxy far, far away, thanks to a new line of stamps coming to the U.S. Postal Service.
Just my male, not my female?
You're such a dad. In an official release, the USPS said its latest collection of stamps will salute Star Wars droids such as C-3PO and R2-D2 for the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm. Beloved BB-8 from the latest Star Wars trilogy will of course be making an appearance, alongside some other fan favorites like IG-11, C-110P, who's also known as Chopper, K-2SO, DO, L337, and GXK, who was a power droid, along with 2-1B, who was a surgical droid. In addition to the droids, the backgrounds of the 20 stamps will pay tribute to some of the most famous settings in the Star Wars universe, such as the floating Cloud City that can be found above the planet of Bespin. Greb Bredding is the designer of the stamps, while William Grecker served as the art director. The USPS said that the new collection also honors Lucasfilm's legacy and its parent company, Disney, for its commitment to science, technology, engineering, and math, known as STEM, the STEM community. Most notably in the company's partnership with FIRST, which is for inspiration and recognition of science and technology, which happens to be a global nonprofit that aims to inspire children from pre-K to grade 12 to consider a career in STEM, in collaboration with the Star Wars Force for Change initiative, which gives FIRST the ability to teach even more young children. U.S. Postal Service will release more details on the stamps, including their release date later this year.
Well, that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I'm not a stamp collector myself.
Right.
But, anything Star Wars is cool as long as it's not the sequel trilogies.
Well, then some of the stamps you can't have because some of the stamps are from...
Some of the stamps are from the sequel trilogy.
So those will be the ones that we use. The other ones we hold on to.
Yeah, and L337 from Solo we can't use either.
No? Can't use him?
No.
Yeah.
But K2SO we can.
Yeah, K2SO, we like him.
Because that's Alan Tudyk. And,
right.
We'll talk about him a little later.
Right. But I'm sure they'll probably, and as they've done before, they usually come out with some sort of like commemorative artworky type thing. I know I still have from when the original Disney stamps came out. I still have that. So they might come out with some coolish
and they're
things.
nice looking stamps. They're kind of odd shaped.
Right.
But they definitely are nice looking stamps.
So, because we mail out like 5 things a year.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if we buy them, I'm guaranteed to collect them because I never mail anything.
Because you never mail anything. So, kind of cool. Another thing to collect for those of you that are collectors of various things.
Well, and the funny thing is, I didn't realize in this modern digital age that collector stamps were still a thing.
Oh, yeah. And I still remember not even that long ago, when you go to the post office, what pretty stamps do you have? What nice, and it's something...
I've never actually asked that going to a post office.
Well, I never do either, but it was one of those things when I was going to the post office, somebody in front of me was like, hey, what kind of, cool stamps do you got? Nice. But I remember not that long ago, I guess a couple of months ago, when the Postal Service was having all of these issues, and everybody said, well, if you go out and buy, one book of stamp, that'll help give the Postal Service a boost of revenue, and they happen to have like these horror stamps. I still have my 2 sheets because I haven't mailed anything.
Nice.
Well, we also didn't do Christmas cards this year, so normally that's my big thing that I, would mail out would be.
Yeah, because everything else we do digital.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Cool. So we have some Mandalorian news. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so obviously Disney Plus's show, second season created, more conversation than the first season did. Hooking in both the casual and the diehard Star Wars fan alike. And season 2 left things in an interesting place with Grogu deciding, to leave Mando and go train with Luke Skywalker. So now everybody's like, okay, when's the next season coming? And then, of course, we got that little hint at the end about Book of Boba Fett. So the production list reports that The Mandalorian Season 3 is set to begin filming in LA on April 5th of 2021. So this report remains unconfirmed as of now, but the date does kind of line up with the Star Wars timeline that Disney and Lucasfilm executives have been hinting at. And of course, we've been getting various stories each week about it. So assuming that the report is accurate and the start date provides us with a fairly good idea, you kind of have an idea of when season 3 is going to come out. So now for season 2, if you can remember back then, season 2 actually began filming in October of 2019 and finished production early in March, right when the pandemic kind of started. And then the season actually premiered in October. So the rule of thumb is usually it's a year from when they start is when it actually ends up showing up and airing on Disney Plus. So using that, if April 2021 is the production date, you're not going to see episode 3 of Mandalorian until April 2022. And that kind of syncs up with everything because the other thing was that we got word that the spin-off of Book of Boba Fett would actually be premiering first. So we're going to get that season before Mandalorian, and that is set to actually premiere December of 2021 because that they've actually already started filming as of right now. And then, of course, it kind of goes with the way they don't want everything Star Wars coming out at the same time. They want to do it, let this come out and let everybody watch this, give it a couple of months, let's do the next one so that they're not saturating, which is what you had been concerned about when we heard all of these different shows coming out. It kind of sounded like it's one right on top of the other, and it doesn't seem like they're doing it that way. And I don't know if it's because of COVID, because they can't do it that way, because they can't produce everything, or if it was kind of their thought process of, here's our roadmap for the next couple of years, and we're just going to take our time to make sure that it's good content and not rush it, which it almost seems like they're doing. So as of right now, again, no confirmation as to when it's coming out, but if they, again, follow their roadmap that they've done before, it'll be April of 2022 at this point.
So we had talked on an earlier podcast about there being a time hop. Mm-hmm. Do we know if that time hop is starting with season 3, mid-season 3? Have they revealed anything about the plot at this point?
Yeah.
So we're all left in the dark, and we're waiting a long time.
Yep. In a galaxy far
away. Yeah. Okay. So that was all we had for our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. We'll take a quick break and be back with our entertainment news.
Mm-hmm.
Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Talking to real teens about real teen problems. Explore issues from braces to puberty, social anxiety to financial responsibility. Each week, we talk about the topics concerning today's youth. We look at how the issues affect teens, how to cope with these issues, and how parents, friends, and loved ones can help teens handle these challenges. Check out our video episodes on youtube.com/insightsintothings. Catch our audio versions on podcast.insightsintoteens.com or on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Dum 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 dum.
Go for entertainment news.
Wow, that was just like, just go already. So Elizabeth Olsen says that the explanation behind the WandaVision sitcom, which is still to come in the remaining 6 episodes of the first Marvel series, didn't feel so bizarre after she had a meeting with the producer, Kevin Feige. It's set after the events of Avengers Endgame, where an undusted Wanda returns to life without partner Vision, and, you know, she basically relocates this unusual couple in the suburbs of Westville. In this new reality, which is inspired by decades of classic sitcoms and seemingly created by Wanda, slowly it starts to unravel as the couple begins to suspect that everything is not as it seems when channeling such shows as Bewitched and Malcolm in the Middle. She said, they're just trying to fit in. They're trying not to be found out by their neighbors that they're super-powered beings. The reason it's a sitcom show will show itself later on. And she said, when Kevin told me, it didn't feel so bizarre. It kind of felt like a great way to start our story. So this is a show that we've been watching from the beginning. There was a little bit more that was hinted in last night's episode. We won't really talk about it because we don't want to give it away as a spoiler if, you know, those of you watching haven't seen it yet. But you know, they talk about the show and how, you know, Wanda's trying to protect everything in her bubble, and, you know, she's, you know, trying to do everything to keep it together. And then, you know, they talk about how Kevin, who's produced all of the MCU movies, says that, you know, Disney Plus was kind of the perfect place to do this series because it wasn't something that would have really played out well in an actual movie. It needed to kind of be done as a television series, and it was, you know, able to, for him to put, you know, his two loves together, you know, the classic sitcoms along with, you know, the Marvel universe, and kind of blend them together. I know when we were watching it, you know, the first couple of episodes, we were kind of like, huh? Like, and I know that there were a lot of people that kind of felt that way. It was kind of like, you really liked it, but you had no idea what was going on. And I knew it was going to be one of those, just sit back and watch. Just take it all in. It'll happen. It'll, you know. So I'm interested, you know, especially after last night's episode, to kind of see, you know, more of the reasoning, you know, behind everything. We're getting little hints. And the other thing that's really, you know, great about this is that there's all these different Easter eggs hidden throughout the show. And there was actually a separate article, I don't know if I sent it to you or not, that talked about another Easter egg that somebody kind of happened upon, and people were like, yeah, I gotta go back and watch the first one. And it's like each Easter egg, it's like they started it in the first episode and it kind of kept growing into, you know, the last episode just from yesterday. So
yeah, I mean, we've certainly enjoyed the show, even though we've been confused pretty severely in the first few episodes.
Right.
I like the show in its comedic style that they do it in.
Right.
The nostalgia that comes back from it. But it was kind of frustrating for me to have them dropping all these bizarre things and not giving you anything to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
It was one of those, all right, you're in it for the ride. You just sit there, watch it, and, you know, we'll start explaining stuff to you in a few episodes.
Right.
The one thing in the last episode that is definitely worth noting is there's a scene that happens.
You were so excited.
I was elated at this scene because
Such a
quite, deliberately in the scene, you see it's a set up like a field lab.
Right.
And they've got all different types of technology and TVs and monitors and oscilloscopes and stuff. And right there on the counter, on the table in front of you there, is the mixer that we use on this show.
You felt like such a celebrity when you saw that.
I thought it was hilarious. It's a Rodecaster Pro that we use. They had the same exact one, completely unmodified, sitting right there just because it looks so cool.
Right.
So I gotta, I admit, I geeked out over that.
Yeah, you're like, pause! Rewind it!
Go back, let's see it. Oh, that's it right there. That's my mixer.
And it was funny because last night's episode was the first one that I think we ever stopped it, rewound, stopped it a couple of different times. Because there were so many
reveals.
Right.
So there was a whole bunch of cameos from secondary characters from different parts of the Marvel Universe.
Right.
3 individual ones that we could name there. It was kind of cool because it's sort of...
Right.
Not only did that episode sort of advance all the bizarre stuff in the background that was happening that you didn't know about that you were speculating on.
Right.
But it also started to tie together the entire Marvel Universe.
Right. And also we were doing it too for Maddie's sake also, for her to understand.
Correct, yeah.
Hey, did you know this is who this is? Oh, okay.
Right.
Start watching. Okay, well, pause.
And then I had to do the other 2 for you guys because you didn't recognize who it was.
Right, because I was like, I think I know who this is. I'm just not sure. And
So it was a fun episode, from that aspect. And look for the Rodecaster Pro in the scene. There's actually 2 scenes that shows up.
I'm surprised you didn't, get screenshots to show, look, there's
well...
It's okay.
Just look for it. You'll see.
But I think it'll also be, it's one of those shows too where, because the episodes are only a half hour long, I could totally see going back once it's all done and kind of watching it from the beginning all in one shot, so it would be kind of an extended movie, like a 2-part movie, but to kind of see if you catch the things, watching it back to back as opposed to week to week.
Right. So, Budweiser in the Super Bowl. Big shocker here.
Yeah, so Budweiser will not be running a commercial during the Super Bowl for the first time in 37 years. Instead, the Anheuser-Busch Company will be using marketing dollars to support COVID-19 vaccine awareness and access. In the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, Budweiser plans to run its Super Bowl ad digitally. The spot will focus on resilient Americans during the COVID pandemic, including a group of healthcare workers who were the first to receive the vaccine. Actress Rashida Jones, who is known for her roles on The Office and Parks and Recreation, will actually narrate the spot. The beer brand also plans to donate a percentage of its advertising airtime for 2021 to the Ad Council and COVID Collaborative's Vaccine Education Initiative. Budweiser will support its effort with additional campaigns throughout the year. The company also isn't entirely giving up promoting its beer. Budweiser is giving U.S. consumers who are at least 21 years of age a free beer if you visit beeronbud.com between January 25th and February 7th. So we got to go log on so we can get a free beer. I'm guessing it's probably a coupon to go and pick up a can. I don't know. I haven't gone. But their other brands, which include Michelob Ultra, Bud Light, and Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, will have in-game ads during the Super Bowl. And as we mentioned before, Budweiser isn't the only iconic brand sitting out the game. PepsiCo and Coca-Cola has said that they won't be running in-game ads for their namesake sodas. Pepsi instead is focusing on its sponsorship of the halftime show, which will be starring The Weeknd, and PepsiCo's other brands, including Mountain Dew and Frito-Lay, will have some commercials during the game. In a statement to CNBC, Coke says that it has chosen to focus on investing in the right resources. The pandemic obviously has upended the beverage giants' business because fewer drinks are being consumed away from the house, and its revenue had actually fallen 13% during the first 9 months of 2020. You wouldn't know it from our house because of how much Diet Coke we drink. I would have thought we were helping them out. So last year's Super Bowl drew about 100 million viewers, but attracted those eyeballs, come with a hefty price tag. A 30-second commercial, and we've talked about this, before, goes for, $5.5 million. And in 2020, it was at like 5.6 million. And of course, Super Bowl happens in the beginning of the year. So, it was at the start of everything. So now, it'll be interesting to see what commercials, are being played, because people will be home watching, hopefully not having too many parties or small gatherings wherever they are. But it'll be interesting to see, because again, Budweiser is always, the big commercials. It's always the ones you want to see. They're always the one with, that have some sort of iconic catchphrase, or even the ones with the Clydesdales. So it's nice that they're still putting something together. Again, it'll be digitally, kind of, honoring those those healthcare workers, but we won't be seeing it obviously during the game.
Yeah, I gotta say, I kind of have mixed feelings about this. Like, they're doing the right thing for the right reason,
right?
And I can't fault them for that. But of all the things in the world that are not normal, having those commercials kind of would have been a welcome change, a welcome set of normalcy if they stuck to the normal plan there.
Right.
And not having that, I don't know, it kind of detracts a little bit. Because I don't watch the game anymore at this point, because I don't care who wins.
Right.
We tend to watch it.
And I'm probably not even going to be in a football pool this year.
Right. Right. Not that we endorse that, because gambling is illegal.
Right, because gambling is illegal unless you go to Atlantic City or Vegas.
But, I don't know, it's like...
Well, and didn't they have like a very emotional one after 9/11?
They did, yeah.
Where it was kind of like very patriotic, and and we kind of need that now too, with everything.
Yeah,
going on.
I kind of had hoped that they would sort of, stick to business as usual and give us that escape that we need, that bring us together. Because you talk about not having big gatherings, the NFL's restricting the in-person appearances to like 22,000 people.
Right.
So even that type of stuff, where your halftime show that involves the audience is going to be
how's that
drastically different.
Right, and the stadium's going to look kind of weird. Like, are they going to put like all those blank people? The cutouts that they do.
It's
for some
almost
of the
like
other games.
I wish if you could do things normally, you keep doing things normal, because most stuff is not normal.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm sure it'll be different, and we'll see how things are.
Yeah.
So that was all we had for our entertainment news. We'll be right back with our insightful picks of the week. For your insightful pick.
So my insightful pick of the week is from Netflix, and it is My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman. So TV legend David Letterman teams up with some fascinating global figures in an in-depth interview and curiosity-fueled excursion into his this talk show. My Next Guest Needs No Introduction, commonly referred to as My Next Guest, is an American streaming television talk show that's hosted by David Letterman, and it actually premiered on Netflix in January of 2018. The series consists of interviews with one guest per episode, both inside and outside of the studio setting, and the show, has received general positive reviews for its format. Letterman's hosting, his choice of guests, and his insightful conversation have received praise. It's an interesting little format. It's nothing like what his original talk show was, because there's really no band. It's, they're on a stage, and it's a very bare stage, and it's just him and his guest, and probably only a couple of hundred people there, at the time. And what was interesting was some of the more recent episodes that he had a couple that were actually filmed since COVID started. He actually went to the celebrity's home, and they show them, wearing masks, and, they say, okay, we've both been tested, so we're okay, and we'll sit 6 feet apart. Where some of the earlier episodes, they'll be in this theater doing the interview, and then they'll show a shot from, a couple of days before, a couple of days after, where they're actually at the person's house, or they're just kind of wandering around. So it's an interesting setup. And again, it's just one episode, one guest per show. He interviewed George Clooney, he did Barack Obama, and the Barack Obama episode was actually, that interview was one of his first interviews after leaving office, that he had done on the talk show network. And I'm not a fan of Kim Kardashian at all, but the interview with her was actually kind of enlightening, and they talk about, various different things from, O.J. Simpson to
Still not a Jew.
Still not a Jew, to going to law school, and they end up going to like the local CVS to buy to buy school supplies. He kind of jokes to her. It's like, all right, well, let's just go to CVS. And then one of the more recent episodes is he interviews Lizzo, and in her house, and you get this background of her that most people don't know about, and just very fascinating interview, because again, much different from his show where it was a lot more comedy and things. So this is a little bit more, serious, topics, and it's, it goes from Barack Obama, George Clooney, Howard Stern, Tina Fey, so various different people he interviews. So if you're into watching a talk show interview type show, this might be one to watch.
Good pick.
Thank you.
So my pick this week is not a documentary.
Oh my gosh.
If I get enough of these in a row, I can stop actually prefacing it by saying it's not a documentary, right?
Right.
So my pick this week is Resident Alien on Sci-Fi. An alien crashes on Earth and hides in a remote Colorado mountain town after assuming the identity of the town doctor. His nefarious mission is threatened when he realizes one of the townspeople, a 9-year-old boy, can see his true alien form. Harry, the quote resident alien, slowly begins to wrestle with the moral dilemma of his secret mission on Earth as he learns to fit in with the humans in the nearby fictional town of Patience, Colorado. It's a dramedy style science fiction show that's a nostalgic blend of My Favorite Martian and Eureka, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's been described similar to Northern Exposure.
See?
I never watched it, so
okay.
I couldn't say.
See, and I picked up on that for sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it features Alan Tudyk as the alien. And, once again, just shows how much of a brilliant actor he is. Mm-hmm. He plays a convincing human.
Right.
But he's clearly alien. I mean, it comes across, like I mentioned My Favorite Martian, but, My Favorite Martian was played not like a Martian, but like a human.
Right.
And he plays this character like an alien trying to be human.
Right.
His reactions, there's little asides, there's narration that he does. You get to hear what his thoughts are before he says something.
Right. The quirkiness behind him.
And it was one where you are knee-slappingly laughing. Mm-hmm. And just as soon as you catch your breath from that, there's another scene that you're hilarious again. And then there's another, and it just, from scene to scene. It's so well done, but it's done in a way that's not, a standard half-hour sitcom type thing.
Right.
It's comedy, but it's comedy. It's situational comedy, but in a drama set environment. There's one scene where he's taken human form and he's learning how to talk, and he's watching a particular scene from an old episode of Law and Order over and over and over until he masters the language.
Right.
So everything that he does in his mannerisms are sort of centralized on how a episode of Law and Order goes.
Right, because he doesn't know who humans are or how they, he ends up on the planet by accident. So he's in this person's house and he's, watching to kind of learn the language.
Right.
And just has these mannerisms that
no
normal human being, would have. And it was, I definitely enjoyed it, as well.
Yeah, it's very clever. He does a fantastic job in his portrayal, again, as this alien trying to be human.
Right.
And so far, the supporting cast that they've put together here, you can tell they all have their own intricate backstories and quirkiness and personalities.
Right.
So there's a tremendous amount of character development that goes in that feeds into all of this. So very good show. Resident Alien on Sci-Fi. It airs Wednesdays at 9 Eastern. So I think that's all we had this week. Did we have any afterthoughts that we want to go over or anything?
Nope.
No? All right. In that case, I would implore people to subscribe to the podcast. You can get audio versions of the podcast if you look us up as Insights into Entertainment. You can get video versions of all of our shows if you look up Insights into Things. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, etc., etc. I'm not going to go down the whole list.
Okay.
We would also encourage people to reach out to us and give us your feedback. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com.
You can find us on Twitter at insights_things.
We stream 6 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/insightsintothings.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast.
On Instagram, we are at Insights Into Things.
The audio versions of all of our podcasts can be found at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com.
You can get high-res versions of our videos on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings.
And if you don't remember any of those other things and you just want to go to our main website, that would be insightsintothings.com.
And I think that's it. Another one in the books.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.